The story begins with a young boy sneaking into his parents' bedroom while they're asleep to steal their hidden nudie magazine. As he flips through the pages, he stares at one of the adult actresses, his favorite, known by the nickname Misty Mountains. Suddenly, a car crashes through the house and smashes into the yard. Inside the wreck is none other than Misty Mountains herself, completely naked and barely alive. With her last breath, she said to the boy,
"How do you like my car, big boy?"
Jackson Healy is a tough enforcer for hire, the kind of guy you pay to beat people up. Holland March, on the other hand, is a down-on-his-luck private investigator and a struggling single father, known for his drinking and general incompetence. March is hired by an old woman to find her niece, Misty Mountains. The woman insists Misty is still alive. This strange request leads March to investigate a young woman named Amelia Kuttner, who was reportedly seen with Misty shortly before she died. Amelia, aware that people are trying to find her, hires Healy to scare them off. One of those people happens to be March. So Amelia gives Healy the March's address. The next day, Healy shows up at March's home and violently beats him up, warning him to stop looking for Amelia. March tries to grab his gun, but fails. And before leaving, Healy breaks March's left arm just to drive the message home. However, shortly after this, Healy is attacked by two thugs who are also after Amelia. Meanwhile, March visits Misty's aunt again to tell her that Misty is dead and he plans to drop the case. But the woman insists he continue and focus on finding Amelia instead, believing she might know something about Misty's death. She even writes him a check, and March, unable to resist, reluctantly agrees. That night, during Holly's birthday party, Healy shows up again and tells March about the two thugs who attacked him. He believes Amelia's life is in danger. He offers to pay March for his help, feeling guilty for breaking his arm, and the two form a temporary partnership to track down Amelia. They head to the Capitol building, where Amelia's protest group is rallying. As they look for her, the group lies on the ground, pretending to be dead. Healy and March ask why they're protesting, and one member says it's because of air pollution. We died from it. The whole thing seems pointless and ridiculous, but the two continue their search. When asked if Amelia is there, the protesters say she isn't. Her boyfriend died 3 days ago. March asks where she might be, but the group refuses to help unless they're paid. One person raises his hand, offering to help them find her. That's how they meet Chet, who brings Healy and March to a house that had recently burned down. It belonged to Dean, Amelia's boyfriend. Inside the house, March asks Chet if he actually knows Amelia. Chet answers yes, but only through Dean. He explains that Dean was a filmmaker and Chet was a projectionist, which is how they met. They see a kid riding a bike nearby, and March calls him over, asking if he knew the person who lived in the house. The kid demands $20 before he'll talk. March pays up, and the boy confirms he knew Dean. He says he saw Dean filming a nudie movie there last month. March asks if he saw Amelia, but the boy says no, though he did see Misty Mountains talking with some producers. One of them was named Sid Hatrack. The boy also tried to get a role in the film by showing them his big sausage, but he failed. Before they leave, March asks him the name of the film they were working on. The boy replies,
"How do you like my car, big boy?"
March was getting frustrated. He couldn't help but feel irritated with how vulgar and unruly kids were these days, and he was genuinely worried that Holly might pick up their bad habits. Healy, on the other hand, pointed out that something strange was definitely going on. 3 days ago, Dean's house had burned down, and that was the same day he stopped receiving any information about Amelia. While driving, March suddenly noticed a billboard featuring a film starring Misty Mountains. He realized that the movie's producer was Sid Shattuck, not Sid Hatrack, as he initially thought. Alarmed, March called Sid immediately from his home, asking where Amelia was. Sid explained that Amelia had left his place to prepare for an upcoming party, but assured him she'd be back later. Determined, March decided to go to the party himself. Holly didn't want to be left behind, but March insisted she stay. Upset, Holly stormed out, saying she'd go to her friend's house instead. When March and Healy arrived at the party, March noticed Holly hiding in the trunk of his car. She had followed them. Though she begged to help with the investigation, March put her in a taxi and sent her home for her safety. Inside the house, Healy immediately smelled marijuana, but March couldn't detect it. His sense of smell had been damaged long ago. They decided to split up to cover more ground. Healy found himself in a dressing room where he saw Misty Mountains' old costumes and discovered a note with an address written on it. On his way out, he was shocked to find Holly with a group of prostitutes watching an adult film. Healy quickly pulled her away and told her to go home. Before she left, Holly asked one of the women if she knew Amelia. The woman didn't. Meanwhile, March, already tipsy, was unable to investigate properly. He ended up stumbling off the second floor, tumbling down a cliff, and losing his gun. As he was trying to get his bearings, he saw a woman, Amelia. She ran off and March, too exhausted to give chase, let her go and focused on finding his gun instead. Resting under a tree, March lit a cigarette, only to discover a dead body lying next to him. He called out to Healy, who heard him and came running. March pointed out the body, and to their shock it was Sid. They began to wonder why everyone connected to Amelia kept turning up dead. To protect themselves from being framed, they decided to get rid of Sid's body discreetly. Meanwhile, Holly was still at the party. A prostitute asked her why she was looking for Amelia, and Holly lied, saying Amelia was her sister. The woman offered to take Holly to Amelia, but instead brought her to a dangerous man who was also looking for Amelia. Holly sensed something was wrong and tried to leave the car, but the man wouldn't let her. The man spotted Amelia and aimed his gun at her, but Holly slammed the car door shut, causing him to miss a shot. The man injured his hand, and Holly screamed at Amelia to run. March, hearing the commotion, rushed outside. A valet informed him that his daughter had just gotten into a black car, so he quickly gave chase. The man caught up with Holly and Amelia again, but he wasn't paying attention and got hit by a car. Amelia tried to run, but Holly, driven by her innate kindness, wanted to help the man, despite him being an enemy. Amelia gave up and let Holly do as she wished. Healy soon arrived and Holly told him to call an ambulance. Healy pretended he would help the man, so Holly left to get help. While talking to the injured man, Healy learned that someone named John Boy was coming to kill them. Healy wasn't fazed. Instead, he calmly strangled the man to death. When Holly returned, Healy told her the man didn't survive his injuries. March finally arrived and was relieved to see his daughter unharmed. When the police got there, March and Healy both gave their statements. Later, a woman named Tally, she told them that her boss wanted to speak with them. That boss turned out to be Judith Kuttner, Amelia's mother, who worked for the Department of Justice. In Judith's office, she thanked them for saving her daughter. But March and Healy were quick to clarify. It was mostly Holly who had saved Amelia. Judith then asked for their help. Apparently, the Vegas mob was trying to expand its pornographic operations into Hollywood Boulevard, and Judith was doing everything she could to stop it. Still, Healy was confused. Why would Amelia shoot an adult film for Sid, knowing it would shame her mother? Judith admitted they had a falling out, but the film was now destroyed after Dean's house fire. March asked why all the people involved in the film were turning up dead. Judith claimed she had no idea, only that her daughter was in danger. Healy asked why she hadn't placed Amelia in protective custody, especially now that Amelia wanted to come home. Judith explained that Amelia didn't trust her. Amelia believed her mother was the government, and possibly responsible for the deaths of her colleagues. Judith then officially asked March and Healy to take the job, find and protect Amelia at all costs. The next morning, March and Healy talked about the address Healy had seen in the dressing room. It was located at the Burbank Airport, Western Flight D. Healy believed Amelia was trying to leave town and asked March what they should do. But March couldn't care, lest he planned to lie to Judith again, claim he was still working, and ask for more money. All he wanted to do that afternoon was drink and have fun. Holly, clearly disappointed in her father, snapped at him and called him the world's worst detective. Healy, frustrated, decided he would look for Amelia on his own. March, however, told Healy that he wouldn't find her at the airport because the address wasn't about a flight. Every airport has an overflight curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., March said. And that top number? It's today's date, reversed, like the European format. It makes sense when you look at FLT. Maybe it's not short for flight. Maybe it's flat, like an apartment. That's when it clicked for Healy. Amelia was likely hiding at Burbank Apartments West. They immediately headed there. Upon arrival, Healy asked a man if this was the Burbank Apartments. The man told them the building had been torn down 2 years ago. March was embarrassed. With no other leads, they decided to check the airport anyway. On their way, they passed by the Burbank Airport Western Hotel and realized this might be the real location mentioned in the address. It made sense now. Amelia wasn't catching a flight. She was meeting someone here. Inside, they asked the hotel bartender if he'd seen Amelia, but the man demanded a bribe. Without hesitation, Healy slammed the guy's face into the bar. After that, the bartender confessed Amelia was upstairs, but warned them not to go up, saying some business guys were there. He suggested they just wait downstairs and have a drink. He added something else. Another man had just gone upstairs looking for Amelia. His name was John. That name struck a nerve with Healy. John Boy. The same name the blue-faced man had mentioned before Healy strangled him. If that man was upstairs with Amelia, then she was in grave danger. They had no choice but to go up. As soon as they stepped off the elevator, they found several men dead in the hallway. Horrified, they rushed back down. Outside, they spotted police officers arriving and had to hide to avoid getting caught. Healy was still determined to save Amelia, but March had lost hope. He believed she was already dead. Then, out of nowhere, Amelia jumped down from the rooftop and landed right on top of the car. They quickly took her back to March's house. When she woke up, Amelia revealed that the people trying to kill her were connected to her own mother. They soon discovered that Amelia had been involved in making an experimental adult film titled How Do You Like My Car, Big Boy? A bizarre mix of adult entertainment and political exposé. The film targeted the corrupt practices of the auto industry, specifically their attempts to bury the existence of catalytic converters, devices that reduced car emissions. Implementing these would have cost car companies a fortune. Judith was entangled in the scandal. She helped suppress the film, and even went as far as putting a hit on her daughter to silence her and protect the industry. While Amelia rested, Tally called March. She said Judith needed $100,000 in cash, fast. Tally also believed Judith was up to something shady, and March agreed, especially after everything Amelia had told them. Tally asked if they'd already found Amelia. Without hesitation, March said yes, she was in his house. Tally promised to send a doctor to check on her and asked March to be the one to bring the money to Judith. They quickly headed out, and Tally handed them the cash. But on the way, March fell asleep at the wheel, causing them to crash. The bag of money flew open, and fake bills spilled everywhere. It hit them. Tally had set them up. She wanted Amelia dead. March raced back home. Meanwhile, a man arrived at the house and introduced himself as Dr. Malik. Holly, suspicious, let him in and told him Amelia had a slight fever. When he asked where the patient was, Holly pointed to the room. But Holly had a gut feeling this doctor wasn't who he claimed to be. She pulled a gun on him, convinced he was John Boy. She asked Jessica to bring the handcuffs. John calmly told Jessica that if she helped him, he would spare her and only kill Holly. Terrified, Jessica tried to run, but John grabbed her and threw her out the window. Healy and March arrived just in time to see John Boy. He grabbed a gun from his car and opened fire on them. As Healy distracted John, March rushed to Jessica and brought her inside the house. March hid Jessica and Holly in a closet, warning them not to come out. Meanwhile, Amelia escaped again, this time through a window. The shootout continued until John Boy heard the police sirens. He quickly fled. March was relieved. John was gone. But the relief vanished when he realized Amelia had disappeared again. Tragically, Amelia had flagged down a passing car for help. But the driver was John Boy. Without hesitation, he shot and killed her. Devastated, March sought help from a lawyer named Perry. But Perry said they had no case, not without concrete evidence against Judith. He apologized. There was nothing he could do. March and Healy went to Misty's house along with her aunt. Misty's aunt claimed she had seen her niece through the window of the house. But March realized that what the aunt actually saw was the film itself. Misty had been checking it using a projector that was hidden under the table. That's when Healy figured out that Amelia had a second copy of the film, which she had given to Misty. Misty then returned it to Amelia so she could show it to some businessmen. Holly then discovered a note that read, "Opening night, 9 p.m., signed by Chet. They figured out that Chet had the film now and was planning to show it at that evening's LA Auto Show, a perfect opportunity, since there would be a big audience. It was the right moment if they wanted to reveal the truth. March and Healy rushed to the screening event being held at a fancy hotel. They asked around about where the projection room and Chet were. Someone told them that Chet had stepped out to get a drink. They went into the projection room but couldn't find the film. Suddenly, Tally entered and pointed a gun at both of them. Out of nowhere, Holly burst in and threw her coffee at Tally. She thought it was still hot, but even though it wasn't, Tally slipped on the spilled coffee and smacked her head on the floor, knocking her unconscious. Meanwhile, at the party, John asked Chet if he was the projectionist. Chet replied yes, and John pretended that the projector was broken and that the film was scattered all over the floor. Without suspecting anything, Chet followed John. Healy later found Chet badly beaten and thrown near the trash. Chet told him that Amelia's film had been spliced into the middle of another movie. John had already figured this out and informed his associate, something Holly overheard. The man, aware that Holly knew, approached her while she was with March. He told March he had a gun pointed at Holly's back and ordered him to come with them. March, drunk once again, was crawling around clumsily. Up on the rooftop, March pretended to be completely wasted and secretly signaled Holly to duck. He then hit the man with a chair and fired his gun, but the man grabbed Holly as he began to fall. March managed to pull Holly with him, and the two of them fell, but fortunately, March landed in a swimming pool, saving his life. John tried to destroy the projector by shooting it. Holly ran to the projection room, kicked out Tally, took the film, and threw it out the window. A shootout began as people scrambled to get the film. While Healy fought off the enemies, March managed to grab the film and made a run for it. John chased him. March dropped the film, and as he went after it, he fell again. As Healy and John brawled, Healy accidentally pulled a grenade pin. John quickly took off his jacket and threw it far away to avoid an explosion. Healy began strangling John, and Holly witnessed it. She warned Healy that if he killed John, she'd never speak to him again. Healy, torn by the moment, decided not to kill John. Instead, he just punched him hard enough to knock him out. March finally retrieved the film. In the end, the final copy of Amelia's film was recovered and anonymously delivered to a journalist. But despite everything they went through, the corrupt corporations and the Department of Justice faced no consequences. The system remained rigged. March was disappointed by the outcome, but Healy reminded him that at the very least, they had saved lives and exposed the truth. And with that, the two officially started a detective agency together and called themselves the Nice Guys.